All right, welcome back in as JaVon and I continue our top 10 series throughout the month of July. We have done quarterbacks and we have done wide receivers. If you haven't checked us out, go do so. Today we are talking top 10 NFL defenses. JaVon, man, this was a list that I thought had some clear teams that had to be on it from my perspective, but the order, I think there's a potential that people are mad in the comment section about the order, and I don't know if I'm going to be fighting heavy, man. It's so tough because when we were doing quarterbacks and receivers, that's just one guy, but
Yeah,
defense is here. Now I'm comparing 11 and then some in terms of depth for teams, etc. So it's so difficult to, you know, be like, oh, this is definitively the right answer
yeah.
when the way it is when we're talking about just singular players. So, you know, for people in the comment section, I think it's a lot more variation on rankings this time around. And I think a tier list for defenses works better, but we're going to stick to the top 10 format.
I mean, yeah, 100%. And honestly, like as I was telling you earlier, there's no like for if you're ranking offenses, like they have quarterbacks. Receivers is kind of like really obvious who the top receivers are. And honestly, there's not that many breakout wide receivers, breakout running backs, maybe one or two throughout the
Yeah.
whole league that's like unexpected. But like on defense, I feel like it's more certain. Like, so it's like there's no X factor to really account for. Maybe a rookie that was drafted in the fifth round that becomes a starter because of injuries or something. But
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like it shouldn't be that much controversial, to be honest.
No,
Maybe like the last,
I think, like I
seven through
said,
10.
I think the teams on the list won't be controversial, but I could imagine fans of these teams maybe wanting their team boosted up as always. And I respect it. When you do content and you talk about all 32 NFL teams, people are going to come in there respecting their team.
Wow.
But
I mean, I understand that.
yeah, I'm going to let you kick it off. Who is your number one defense as we head into the 2025 NFL season?
So number one, I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I just feel like,
Okay. Hey, I
yeah,
have them at 3, so
you
I'll take it.
no way, bro. I
I,
mean,
I
granted,
mean,
like when you have as many pieces as y'all did last year, it's kind of gonna be hard to retain everybody. But I feel like the depth and like you guys draft so well every single years. I mean, I just don't see you guys slowing it down, to be honest. But I mean, I'm surprised you put them at 3. But I'm gonna let you talk about them since that's your team. But that's
yeah.
crazy.
So I put him at 3, and I think we saw this defense develop throughout the season, and we saw the fully developed version of the Philadelphia Eagles defense in the Super Bowl, of course. That is the main driving force of their Super Bowl victory, especially that pass rush. Some of that does have to do with Kansas City's offensive line deficiencies. And they did lose a lot of guys. So I did
Yeah, they
factor
did.
that in.
They did, but they're young. They got
You
young
move
pieces as well.
CJ Gardner Johnson, Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, just to name a few, Milton Williams. Like, these are real impactful players that are gone, which is why they bumped down a little bit for me. Now, don't get it twisted. They're down at 3. The defensive core of Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, like, they're still
Yeah.
fine. Vic Fangio coaching up this defense. I have them at 3 for a reason. I, as a fan especially, have real belief in Keely Ringo and Andrew Makumba in the secondary to step up and be players this year. But as I have done for everything, I want to keep consistent. These guys have to prove it. Whereas the two
Yeah.
defenses that I have above are just loaded with guys that I know all 11 are absolute ballers and will
Yeah.
be there. So that's what I did there. The defense last year, though, was the best in the NFL in terms of yards per game and was top 3 in opposing passer rating allowed. I think some of that speaks to the Vic Fangio effect. And the scary thing about the Eagles defense is they have a lot of guys that could get better. Jalen Carter could become the best defensive tackle in football. Nolan Smith had 4 sacks in their playoff run. Does he have a double-digit sack season ahead of him? Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean were both rookies last year. So the ceiling is very high for this defense. I'm assuming you're projecting them to do well, which is why you got them at 1.
I mean, yeah, and I think that the depth on the Eagles roster is a lot better than people are giving them credit for, which is why they let so many people walk. And like you said earlier, they're projected to their younger players are projected to really take a leap next season. I don't know about Ringo, but
I,
luckily,
Ringo is younger than Quinyon Mitchell,
I didn't even know that.
6'2", and the fastest corner on the team. All the athletics are there. The age is there. That's where my belief is in Ringo. I mean, it's a defense podcast, so anybody that clicked on it's like some version of an NFL nerd, so I don't mind going into it. But, obviously it's a little bit different when it's your team. I try to know every team, but when it's my team, I'm definitely tapped in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that I'm pretty sure your number one is the team that made the biggest splash in the offseason so far. So
Yeah. The Eagles defensive line, I do want to add one more note. I do still think they're about 8 deep, which is
yeah,
insane to say, but
that
you
makes
you
sense.
still have Nolan Smith, you still have Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Jalix Hunt, Azeez Ojolari, Josh Uche, you drafted Ty Robinson. Like, the team is still fine on the defensive line. My number one defense is the Denver Broncos. I put the Denver Broncos at number one. I want to go back to last year. They led the NFL in sacks with 63. It wasn't close. They had 4 guys on that defensive line with 7 or more sacks, including Nick Bonito, who had 13 and a half. So they were
Yeah,
killing you from all spots. Patrick Surtain, the best corner in football, the reigning defensive player of the year. And when you look at the additions, Hufanga, Greenlaw, Jade Barron, who Jade Barron was my favorite corner in the draft. They have an absolute demon at nickel now, and they have Pat Surtain. This is going to
yeah,
be one of the best secondaries in football, especially if Hufanga could stay healthy. If you can get a fully healthy season out of him, we saw it a couple years ago from the 49ers. I believe it was a Pro Bowl level season. Dre Greenlaw now in at linebacker too, getting the opportunity to play that Mike role that he's wanted to play. But obviously, when you play alongside Fred Warner, like, can't have it happen. But
yeah.
I think the Denver Broncos are going to absolutely torment teams with their defense. Did you have them on your list?
Oh, I mean, if they weren't at least in your top 5, I mean, I'll question
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
I would definitely question why.
I had to
But
make sure.
yeah, the Broncos, I have them at 4 right now. But
Cool.
the Broncos are going to be crazy next year, to be honest. And they took a couple players from the 49ers. They already had a lot of solid pieces. Nick Bonito, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated like defenders
And
in.
Zach Allen was just named to the NFL Top 100. So they
Oh,
got. I'm assuming Bonito's going to get on there as well. So they have 2 guys on that defensive line that'll be top 100 players.
yeah, and honestly, like you look at the names last season, they didn't really have that many intimidating names besides Pat Surtain. But now they got like they got underrated players, and they got the star power to go
Yeah,
along with it, the
and
veteran leadership too.
Riley Moss as an outside corner, another year of development there. This
Yeah,
Denver Broncos defense, man, and I've talked about it a couple times this offseason. We'll see what happens as in the coming weeks. I do more research and get to my official predictions, but I will say that I have placed a wager on the Broncos to win the AFC West. Uh, uh, you know,
oh, you said that last week, right?
yeah, I think I got it at like plus 380. I
Yeah,
don't know. It was a $20 bet and it pays out $88.
and
But
it would not shock me if that happens.
I have a lot of faith in this defense being the driving force of that. So you have Eagles 1, I have Eagles 3. I had Broncos 1, you have Broncos 4. Neither of us had said our number 2 defense yet. Who is your number 2?
I got the Ravens at number 2, the
So
Baltimore
the Ravens are
Ravens.
my number 4. So this is
Okay,
what I was talking about, though.
okay.
Peel back the curtain in the pre-show. We didn't go over our rankings, but I said I feel like the top 5 is the top 5 to 6, but the order could be switched around. So we're switched around here, which I do like. So you have Baltimore at number 2. Let's talk about them.
I mean, they got elite players at every single position. They have the best middle linebacker, in my opinion, in the NFL. The best
I have them at
safety.
number 2, but
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Fred Warner, you know.
yeah, I have Warner above Roquan, but
I
they're
mean,
both absolute units.
yeah, I mean, Fred is a monster in the run game as well, but I'm taking Roquan all day because
He
I'm an
does lay
AFC
that hammer down.
I'm an AFC North guy, so you can stop
Yeah.
the run. You'll start from my team, but they got. I mean, the corners that they got. They got the deepest secondary in the NFL. They have the best coverage linebackers, Kyle Van Noy. They, like I said, they still got Roquan. They got Nate Wiggins. Like the names are just everywhere.
All pro Marlon Humphrey, brought in Jair Alexander, drafted Malachi Starks, drafted Mike Green. Yeah,
And,
like it's a loaded group.
it almost seems not fair, to be honest. I mean, they do play in the tech division with other good defenses in that division, so they're going to get tested a lot. Especially the Browns aren't expected to be amazing, but they do play
I
the
mean, going
Bengals
up against the
twice.
Bengals offense, yeah, and Pittsburgh, man, they're putting together a group of guys there for sure too that I
Yeah,
think could test them. The Ravens last year, they were second in the NFL in sacks, also having the number one rush defense in football. So the defensive line performed last year, and they added Mike Green in the second round. There's some off the field concerns, obviously, that's why he fell to the second round. But man, if Baltimore can get that guy playing for a full 17, that's going to be an absolute steal. They get Malachi Starks out of Georgia. He was a top 10 to 15 player in the draft for me overall. I desperately wanted the Eagles to get him once he started falling. And I was just like, of course, Baltimore adds Malachi Starks next to Kyle Hamilton. The best
yeah,
safety duo in football, in my opinion. And listen, I get it. That's singing high praises for a rookie. I truly believe Starks is going to be that guy. And you look at Jair, Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey. I have some questions there about health, but when all three of those guys are on the football field, there's not going to be denying how good of a cornerback trio that is. Matabuke and Van Noy on the defensive line, very nice. John Harbaugh always has good defenses. Baltimore always has good defenses. And this could be the best one of the Lamar Jackson era.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy to say that, especially the last 2 years, the defense, I mean, has been pretty good. And most people, when they talk about the Ravens defense, I feel like they're going to bring up Malachi Starks as the X factor. But I don't think that's true, man, because of how deep their secondary is. I think Mike Green and his ability to stay on the field and get to the quarterback, I feel like he would be the X factor of this defense.
Yeah, I agree there. I think Mike Green could make a real impact. My number two defense, a team that I've been higher on than you for seemingly everything. I have the Houston Texans defense at number two.
Okay.
Um, and
They're
I
on my
want
number
to,
three.
okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about last year before we go into this year to just kind of paint the picture of what the Texans defense was, because it's mostly the same guys, just a lot of young guys. The defense last season was already top 5 in the NFL in sacks, forced turnovers, passer rating allowed, and yards per game. All 4 of those stats, this defense was top 5. D'Amico Ryans, every single year, dating back even to the San Francisco 49ers time, has had a top-notch defense. And now you look at the talent on this Texans squad, Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter. That might be the best pass rusher duo in all of football. Both guys are going to be, for sure, top 100 players in the NFL. Will Anderson Jr., I think, is going to be the defensive player of the year this year. Daniil Hunter, though, certainly could contend for it as well. And everybody talks about the Baltimore Ravens having the best secondary in football. I might roll with Houston, man. Derek Stingley, I think, is a top 2 corner in football. Kamari Lassiter had a really solid rookie year. Kalen Bullock, Jalen Petrie, and CJ Gardner-Johnson now on this team. That is an elite secondary. I like Al-Shaair. I like Christian Harris. I like Oto'o, the other linebacker that they have. Dude, it's just ballers. Every single level of this defense with perhaps the best defensive-minded head coach in football.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely been growing on me the last couple of weeks as I've been looking at the roster and the moves they've been making more and more. I mean, what separates this defense from most of the other great defenses and why they're so high is, bro, their secondary is amazing, but these dudes have the best pass rushing group. Like, they're up there, man. They can hang with teams like the Eagles. They can hang with the best of them.
I mean, you go back to that Bills game from last year, man. They tormented Josh Allen. That was the MVP of the league. Got tormented by this defense, and it's so young. Under the age of, what, 26, 25?
Most
Stingley,
of them, yeah.
Lassiter, Bullock, Petrie, Will Anderson Jr. I mean, that is an elite young defensive core in Houston. That's why I don't understand. I mean, obviously it's off topic here, but Texans fans will appreciate it. I don't understand the people that think that they're not going to win the division this year. Like Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Jacksonville's taking over?
I mean,
the Colts?
Yeah, dude, their defense is going to shut down
like
a lot of
CJ Stroud
divisional
just got to
matchups.
be okay.
Yeah, man. As long as they have a solid run game, I think they'll be okay. I mean, of course, CJ Stroud and their weapons that they have, but you know, as long as he can manage the game, bro, this team they could probably sweep all divisional games. It would not surprise me if I'm being honest. It would not surprise
I
me
mean, they
with
were
that
5-1
defense.
last year, so
Yeah,
and the offense had its ups and downs for sure, and there was
yeah.
a lot of downs. But the
Injuries.
defense was an absolute stacked unit. Did you say your number 3 defense yet? That was the Texans, right?
Yes.
So, and
And my number 4 was
the Broncos.
yeah.
Okay, so we've had the same 4 teams at the top. I have Broncos, Texans, Eagles, Ravens. You had Eagles, Ravens, Texans, Broncos. So the same 4. Perfect. Because to me, that was the clear top 4.
Yeah.
Who do you have at number 5?
Number 5, I'm gonna squeeze my Steelers in there, man.
I have your Steelers at number 7.
Oh, 7? Okay.
They had
You
a
know,
case. I think 5 through 7 is interchangeable for me,
and you
but
know what's
I have them at 7.
it's crazy because I've been like looking at some lists and some people have them outside of the top 10. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. I mean, I don't know how high people were on Mika Fitzpatrick, but the last 2 seasons he hasn't been elite. He's been solid, but he's definitely not as fast as he used to be.
No,
And
and I don't. PFF grades aren't everything, but look at his PFF grades over the last couple of years if you want. And also in the last 2 years, Minka had 1 turnover, like 1 interception forced.
yeah,
That's it.
and I know this is a little bit off topic, but like, man, if you're gonna trade Minka Fitzpatrick, I mean, the package that the Steelers got back is not that bad. Like
No, no,
Jonnu
no.
Smith
I
and
mean,
Jalen
getting
Ramsey.
Jonnu Smith in that deal, I
Yeah,
think even for people who think Minka's better than Ramsey, it was still a no-brainer deal. Do you think Jalen Ramsey for this defense is going to play corner or free safety?
I mean, I would prefer him to play safety. I think if he played safety and started at that position full time, I feel like he'll be top
Well,
5 at his position.
he's got the height for sure. He's
Yeah,
still fast enough. He's got the ball skills. And Jalen Ramsey, where he's really underrated, is as a tackler. Like
yeah,
I believe, was a top 5 corner last year for PFF in run defense. Like this
yeah.
guy can play safety, not just because he has the size, but because he has the tackling ability to play safety.
Yeah, and I think I saw a stat last year. I think he had like the most missed tackles he's had since his rookie year or something like that.
And he
So
was
he
still
had,
balling.
yeah, he had a down year when it came to tackling. But man, this team, you want to talk about defensive lines? This team might have one of the deepest defensive lines as well. I mean,
As long as TJ signs that extension.
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the Steelers being dumb enough to trade him, but
No, I think he's going to be extended.
yeah, and if they like the market for TJ Watt would be insane. Like,
Yeah.
like just if they announced that he requested a trade, I feel like that would put the pressure on them to sign him more. But yeah, they added Darius Slay. They added Jalen Ramsey to that secondary, who the defensive coordinator already announced they're going to play him at free safety part time. He's not going to be at there full time. Maybe
Yeah.
as the season goes along, he moves. Who knows? But
I mean, it's such a versatile secondary. I'll say that.
yeah,
With Ramsey, Beanie Bishop, Juan Thornhill, you could kind of move those guys around in different spots based on, health. If Darius Slay or Joey Porter were to suffer an injury, then you do have that flexibility to move Jalen Ramsey back to corner, and you still have, I don't love Juan Thornhill as a starting safety, but as your backup, that's a real quality NFL backup, absolutely. You mentioned the defensive line. I loved the first round pick of Derek Harmon. I'm an Oregon fan, so to
oh,
me, he was the destruction in that defensive line. The defensive line did really well, but it did remind me of the Eagles' defensive line, where, in the Super Bowl, Josh Sweat had the sacks and the numbers, but Jalen Carter's the one getting double teamed, causing the havoc.
oh,
That was the
okay.
way that I viewed Derek Harmon.
And he's
And,
starting from day one, so he's
and
gonna be
yeah,
out there.
and like we talked about with Harbaugh and the Ravens, man, Mike Tomlin defense, it's going to be good every single year. Just Mike Tomlin's the head coach. Yeah, pencil him in top 10.
I mean, like 4 years in a row, the Steelers have spent the most money on defense out of any other team. I mean, granted, their big free agent guy last year, Patrick Queen, was a little bit underwhelming, but I mean, at the linebacker position, they're pretty deep there too. Their backups, Cole Holcomb, They got Nick Herbig. They got Jack Sawyer. They just drafted. He had edge rusher.
I love Peyton Wilson,
Yeah,
Alex Highsmith. I like, again, the team is loaded and deep, and they spend a lot of money on defense, but it works, man. Last year, top 10 in rush defense, top 10 in opposing points per game, tied for first in forced turnovers, despite Minka not only what do you have, one interception last year?
yeah,
Like, your main guy that's supposed to cause the turnovers only had one, and you were still tied for the league lead. So the defense, it does its thing in Pittsburgh. In
yeah. I
short.
mean, yeah. And one last thing, like most people, just like the Broncos last year, yes, Bo Nix was pretty decent as a rookie, but that defense and their ability to get to the quarterback, that's what carried the team. And that's why the Steelers don't have losing seasons,
Yeah,
regardless of Kenny Pickett or Russell Wilson or Justin Fields at quarterback. It's because of their defense and their
yeah,
versatility.
for sure. They're absolute beasts. My number 5, this is a team that this is the first team that I'm kind of doing a little bit of projecting and a little bit of what I think is going to happen versus some of the numbers. So I just want to clarify that before I say it, because if somebody wants to have a stats argument with me in the comment section about why their team should be ahead of this team, like, you're going to be able to win the argument if that's the basis. So just to clarify, this is a projection. At my number 5 spot, I have the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks defense,
Okay.
I think, is due for a really big year. Last year, they were top 10 in the NFL in sacks, and they went out and added DeMarcus Lawrence. So you have DeMarcus Lawrence and Leonard Williams both on that defensive line, two very high-end players. Ernest Jones at the linebacker position, the Rams moved off of him because they didn't want to pay him, and then the Titans traded him to Seattle. And maybe I don't know ball like some of these NFL execs. I think Ernest Jones is one of the better linebackers in football, and it amazes me that somehow Mike McDonald was able to get his hands on him, but he did. So
He's solid for sure.
I'm going to take that as a win. And then when you look at that secondary, Julian Love, one of the better safeties in the sport. I think he's a top 10 safety, very underrated. Tariq Woolen, absolute speed demon at the cornerback position. He's still developing. And a guy that I think could be a top 5 corner in this sport is Devin Witherspoon. And you look at that secondary, what they're going to be able to do with a pass rush that is able to get home clearly because they were top 10 in sacks last year, and they add DeMarcus Lawrence, and you factor in those guys in the secondary and Mike McDonald as their coach. I think life is going to be hell for opposing offenses against the Seattle Seahawks this year. Like I said, I do understand it's a projection pick, and I get it if you're a Steelers fan, the team that we just talked about, and you hear me have this team higher than yours, and you're like, what the hell? Or some of the teams that we're going to get to, because I know there's a couple of fan bases that are watching this, like, why the hell we've not talked about my team yet? And you're saying, I think my defense is better than them. If I was a fan of those teams, I'd probably feel the same way. But unbiasedly, I am just projecting here that I think the talent and coaching in Seattle is going to win out, and they are going to be a top 5 defense this year.
I mean, over the Steelers, of course, I'm gonna feel the
Did
certain
you have
way.
this? Did you have Seattle in your top 10?
I actually did.
Okay, where did you
Yes.
have them?
I think 7.
Okay, so we just flip-flopped 5 and
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, I had them at 7 because this team is like uber athletic, bro. Like
Yeah.
they're going to create turnovers, even if you don't think they're going to get to the quarterback as much as a top defense would. Like they're going to create turnovers regardless. Teams are not going to be able to pass that much on this team, especially they got everything covered on the outside and in the middle. So I mean, that's not to me. That's not a crazy stretch over some of the other teams, maybe. But there's always one defense every year that exceeds expectations. So I don't see
Yeah.
why it couldn't be the Seahawks anyway.
Yeah, I'm picking them to make the jump. I feel comfortable with it, but I do also understand where some people watching may disagree, especially if their team's lower. Number 6. Maybe we have the same number 6. Who's your number 6?
I'm gonna go with the Lions.
They're not in my top 10.
Yeah. So I mean,
They were They were fringe though. Detroit fans, don't kill me. You guys were fringe top 10.
I'm really high on their young players, man. I am a Brian Branch guy.
Yep.
I'm very high on all the players. Like Aiden Hutchinson, he is going to be coming back from an injury. I still expect him to be top 5 at his position. And they still they got DJ Reader, of course, and they got players everywhere. But I think this year they're going to put it together if they can stay healthy, man. They got the corners, they got the secondary. It's always been a question whether they can get to the quarterback or not. But much like the Seahawks, I think that they're going to give turnovers regardless, as long as Aiden Hutchinson is healthy. Maybe DJ Reader to clog up the middle too for the run game as well. But I think the Lions are going to take a big leap this year.
So here are the things I love on the defense. Aiden Hutchinson, like you mentioned, I think he has all the potential in the world to be a top 5 edge rusher in the sport and a defensive player of the year. No doubt about it. I love Brian Branch. I love Kirby Joseph. We talked about potentially Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton being the best safety duo in football. If I'm a Lions fan, I'm saying put my duo in that conversation. Kirby Joseph leads the NFL in interceptions, and Brian Branch is an absolute stud. You move on from Carlton Davis to a DJ Reader. I don't think that's much, if any, of a talent fall off. I think they're a little bit different players, but I think you're about level there. Jack Campbell, I love at linebacker as well. My concerns, I do have 3 of them.
And this is why he won.
Well, injuries aside, let's just say everybody stays healthy. I have some concerns still. You lose Aaron Glenn. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is like going into this year. I don't know what he's about, but I know you're going on from one of the league's best defensive coordinators in Aaron Glenn, who's now a head coach for the New York Jets. Number 2, you lost Zadarius Smith and didn't bring in another pass rusher to play alongside Aiden Hutchinson. Okay. So when you are facing some of the better offensive lines in football, are you going to be able to generate a consistent pass rush, or are teams going to be able to pick you apart? Obviously, I know they didn't have Aiden Hutchinson, but you think back to the last Lions game we saw against Jaden Daniels and those Commanders, and Jaden Daniels didn't even have that elite offensive line. Clearly, this offseason they went out and added a bunch of pieces, and he still had all the time in the world to pick them apart. And that was just with Aiden Hutchinson out, and Zadarius Smith was still on the team. It's Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport at this point. It's just not a good pass rush. And I'm still skeptical on Terrion Arnold. I'm not sold on him yet.
Really?
I'm not. So I know it's an unpopular opinion. I'm just not sold on him. I liked him coming out, but he was so penalized his rookie season, and then last year he didn't flash to me.
He reminds me of Joey Porter Jr. Ironically,
I think Joey Porter Jr. is a lot better than him.
I mean, last year he had question marks on. He got a lot of penalties as well. That's why I say it. I mean, they got DJ. They still got DJ Reed now. I mean, DJ Reader and DJ Reed on defense. I mean, Terrion Arnold. He's gonna have to step up in order for this defense to be as good as I think they're gonna be. But I don't know. I think this defense is gonna be the defense that takes the big leap this year, even without Aaron Glenn.
No, for sure, I could see it. My number 6 is another NFC North team. I have the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings still keep Brian Flores, so they still have their, stud defensive coordinator. Last year, they were number 1 in turnovers forced, top 4 in sacks, and top 5 in opposing point per game. And they did lose some pieces. They lost Bynum, which hurts. I do have some hesitations with the secondary. I do like Byron Murphy. Isaiah Rodgers, I like. Harrison Smith, I like, but eventually this guy's got to get old, right?
Yeah.
I like Cashman and Pace at linebacker, but I'll tell you what, man, the strength of this defense, they might have the best defensive line in football. They might have the best 4 guys. Jonathan Grenard, Dallas Turner, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, and Andrew Van Ginkel. That's 5, excuse me. Andrew Van Ginkel, a guy that's already in the NFL top 100. I would expect Jonathan Grenard to work his way there. Dallas Turner going into his second year. Can he level up to another level? And then you add in Betts at the defensive tackle position and Jonathan Allen and Jonathan Hargrave. This defensive line, you better be able to block everywhere. Because if not, they got guys coming. Their exotic schemes with Brian Flores are going to be very, very hard for opposing quarterbacks to analyze, similar to how they were last year. If you remember, the whole first 6 weeks of last year, the Minnesota Vikings defense was just giving every quarterback they faced fits, no matter who it was. It started with Daniel Jones in week 1, and we were like, yeah, whatever. But then it happened to Stroud and Purdy, and people were like, okay, this defense might be a problem. And they certainly were. So I have them at number 6 here.
I mean, bro, you bring all of these veteran players together, and they've all balled out, and on other teams for the most part as well. But they got the mix of the new players coming in who under the veteran leadership, and they got the pieces, man, to really put elite defense together. To be honest, and I don't know how hard their schedule is, but I mean, they're in a tough division, so so their defense is definitely going to get put to the test, man. But this team can get to the quarterback, and with that, you've seen how they were able to get to the quarterback last year, especially in the first half of the season.
Yeah, for sure. They're a scary defense, man. So at number 7, you had the Seahawks and I had the
Yes,
Steelers. So we're both at number 8 here. Who's your number 8 defense?
you know what? I'm a I'm gonna go with the Chiefs out of respect. I
Did you have the
almost
Vikings in your top 10, by the way? I forgot to
yes
ask.
yes
Where were they
they're
at?
gonna be right after the Chiefs. So at
Okay.
9.
The Chiefs weren't
Yeah.
in my top 10, for the record.
Yeah, I mean, out of out of respect, man. I mean, I don't think with the with the coaching that they have, and they still got some elite pieces. I don't think
Yeah.
you can just count them out, man. Like they still got elite players at almost every almost every position as well, and they
If we
seem to
had
show
done
up when it
15, they would
matters.
have been in there for me, but they just didn't crack my 10.
You said 15?
If we had done a top 15, the Chiefs would have been in there for me. I'm not saying they
Wow.
are 15. I'm just saying if we had done a top
Oh,
15, they would have made my
yeah,
top. I didn't count it all the way out. They were just one
yeah,
of the teams I was considering from my 10 spot.
yeah.
Um, Chris Jones is obviously a Hall of Fame defensive player, and he was really largely responsible for a lot of their defensive line success last year. They
It's
had to
almost
play
sad.
him. They had to play him as an edge rusher a lot of the times just to generate pressure. When you take a deeper look into the Chiefs season last year, there's a lot of just funkiness that was going around that I still can't believe that they made the Super Bowl. Truthfully, when I look back at all the
It's
things that happened
incredible.
to them, I do like Karloftis on that defensive line as well. Some of the they lost Justin Reed. I don't like that. That's concerning. They lose Willie Gay. I don't like that. That's a little concerning. Some of the vets leaving this defense. Obviously, they have to rely on some of the young guys. They brought in Bolton from the Chargers to play that cornerback 2 role, which I do think was good for them because that was a real big weakness they had. I
Oh,
remember
really?
like talk. I remember when I was looking at their. I think they had Jalen Watson,
Yeah,
who
I thought he was
was their
serviceable
corner.
last year.
He was serviceable, but he got hurt, and
Yeah.
then he missed a lot of the end of the season, and it became a problem. And I still don't think he was exactly who they wanted for those big games. I remember looking at the scouting report for them versus the Eagles, thinking Devonta Smith's probably gonna have a big game. And Trent McDuffie is still him, and the defense is obviously very well coached with Spagnuolo there. I just have they feel like 1 to 2 injuries away from being a bad defense. That was like, I mean, they're a
Yeah.
Chris Jones injury away from being cooked.
And we're being and
And don't
he's
get me
older
wrong.
too.
Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, any of these defenses we talk about, their best player gets hurt. Like, yeah, it's going to be a shit show. But I will say some of the top 7 defenses we talked about, TJ Watt gets hurt. That Steelers defense is still pretty good.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I
we're
think Chris
outside the
Jones
top
gets,
5 now, but
yeah, I think Chris Jones gets hurt and it's lights out for them. But I do understand the respect you're giving them for sure.
yeah, this defense is star driven to say the least, man. The star players that what Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Karloftis later in the season showed up, not that much in the beginning of the season.
Karloftis is a playoff riser, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But earlier in the season, man, it seemed like it was just Chris Jones out there 1-on-5
Yeah,
almost.
sometimes it felt that way, and somehow that
Yeah,
man was winning.
yeah,
That's why they had to give him all that money.
and I don't know how the Chiefs keep making the Super Bowl. And it seems like every year they have to play a defensive player, and they say, "Nah, we'll let him walk," and they still go to the Super Bowl. And you just think they're not going to make the Super Bowl because they lost this big piece of their defense, and they just prove they just prove the ops wrong every single time, bro. So I can't leave them out my top 10. I'm not
I,
doing
I
it.
respect it. At 8, I have their division rival, the Los Angeles Chargers. So last year, the Chargers were the best defense in the NFL in terms of opponent points allowed, top 6 in sacks, and opposing passer rating allowed. This is not a defense that has many, if any, star player names on it. Derwin James and Khalil Mack are veterans that are big names
Yeah,
on this defense. But aside from that, it is a lot of young players. Tart in hand on the defensive line. Junior Colston looks as advertised at the linebacker spot, and Cam Hart and Tareeb Still are absolute ballers in that secondary. And listen, if you are I don't even want to say like an NFL casual, but if you are not deep diving into each and every team for the purposes of, how we had to do this video and you're just kind of watching and didn't do a bunch of research, I would understand where you're like the Chargers. Like I would get where that reaction comes from, but man, they were really, really good last year. The Chargers' path to success was, hey, Justin Herbert, don't make mistakes. Let's run the ball and let's let our defense beat the crap out of teams. That's
Yeah,
what they did week after week. And shout out Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, came with Harbaugh from Michigan, his first year in the NFL as a defensive coordinator, and he has the lowest points allowed. I guess you could double-edged sword, like argue that, like, oh, now offenses will get to see that defense and scheme for it. Or I could argue, now Jesse Minter knows what the NFL is like, and he can improve this defense. So the Chargers had to enter my top 10. Again, I get it. When you read the names on the page on the depth chart, you might think, nope. But for me, they absolutely had to be here out of respect for what they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, they lost a couple pieces. I don't know why they let Asante Samuel walk or why he's not signed by anybody yet. That's kind of interesting. But
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
they did lose some pieces. Fulton and Samuel out of that secondary and Joey Bosa off that line.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of insane, but defense is their identity, and when you're as good as they were on defense last year, I mean, I don't think they're going to take a step back. They got better at almost every aspect in the draft and in the offseason. So I definitely could see them being a top 10 defense.
Yeah, for sure. Your number 9 we talked about them, right?
Yes. Was it the Vikings?
Your number 9 was the Vikings, I believe.
Yes.
So my number 9 we haven't talked about yet, so I'll go again. My number 9, also from the NFC North, is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers last season were 4th in the NFL in turnovers, 9th in opposing passer rating allowed, 6th in yards per game and points per game. Were the Packers your 10 or no?
Nah.
Okay.
I think they're gonna shit the bed this year, bro. Offense and defense. Like I think they're gonna shit the bed, bro. Like
let me try and sell you on them. Obviously, with the numbers I just read off, there's no denying they were a top 10 defense last year. I mean, they were top 10 in all those stats and top 5 in some of them. They have an all-pro safety in Xavier McKinney, who is an absolute turnover machine.
True.
Kenny Clark, Quay Walker, Adrian Cooper, Rashawn Gary, Nate Hobbs, a ton of very solid players on this defensive front. Under the radar, yes, but this is a defense who has continuously been good year after year. They're like a lesser version of what the Chargers were. They don't have a ton of big names consistently year after year, but you get to the end of the season and you're like, damn, the Packers were a top 10 defense. And I think that's just going to remain the case.
I mean, McKinney, you don't think that was like an anomaly, like all those turnovers? Like,
I thought McKinney was an absolute dog out of college, and he goes to the Giants, and as an Eagles fan, I'm upset. And then he stinks, and I'm like, okay, maybe he stinks. And then he immediately leaves the shitty Giants and is instantly an All-Pro player, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I was right about my thoughts about Xavier McKinney. And Jair Alexander, that's a big loss for when he played.
Yeah, I mean, he did miss a fair share last season, but I mean, their pass rush, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, they get to the quarterback consistently.
If Lucas Van Ness can develop, and that one's a big, like, what's he actually going to be? How many years do we say if he could develop? But, I think he's a solid third option on the D-line.
And listen, I'm not going to say they're like a bottom 10 defense, but I definitely think that the Packers are going to be a middle-of-the-pack defense. I think they take a step down from last year, and it's not just because of the loss of Alexander. I think Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, I think they're going to start falling off a cliff. I don't think they're going to be able to get to the quarterback as consistently as they've been doing the last couple of years. Yes, they got McDuffie.
Well, I will say that
Walker.
if they lose the pass rush that they have, because again,
I just don't think it's going to be as consistent in that secondary. I mean, McKinney.
I have them at 9. I do like Nate Hobbs as well. I think he's solid.
He's serviceable, but they have a whole, just like on offense, they have a whole bunch of wide receiver twos. I think they have a bunch of cornerback twos. Like, on the field. Like what they got, McKinney, they got Nixon, I believe. Like
Yeah, I know.
Hobbs.
Like I said, I get it. The names won't jump off the page when you read the depth chart. I just think that it's a well coached unit. It's consistently been a well coached unit, and they're going to find their way back into the top 10 again. Um,
Yeah.
but you disagree, which is cool.
Hey,
Who was
I'm
your
pretty sure you're not gonna agree with my 10. So
who's your 10?
at 10, I got the LA Rams.
Okay,
Yeah,
the Rams were one of three teams I considered for my 10 spot. They didn't land in there, but they're right outside of it for me.
bro. I think the Rams are gonna light the league on fire with this pass rush. I think this season, like I know you've seen the videos of Jared Verse training with Aaron Donald. I think Fisk has been with him too. Like they've been training, and
Oh yeah, and they
I think
added
this season,
Puna Ford to that defensive line. That's not the you can't last year you looked at that defensive line and you're like, all right, we'll run the
yeah,
ball on you because Fisk and Verse weren't disciplined in the run game.
experience, yeah.
The way that I'll word it, but Puna Ford, and that's a big loss for the Chargers too that we didn't talk about. So
Hey, say what you want about the secondary, man. That pass rush almost beat the Eagles last year. That pass rush is gonna wreak a lot of havoc next
yeah,
season. And I get it, they're vulnerable, bro. But I think their pass rush alone is gonna make them a top 10 defense. That's the only reason I have. I'm not gonna lie to you.
well, they got some good young names in that secondary though. Curl, Hitchens, like
I mean,
it's not nobody.
Curl's definitely a baller, but man, their depth at the corner, I don't I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there's the reason they wanted Jalen Ramsey, right? There was them
Yeah.
and you guys calling for him.
Yeah,
There's a
Curl.
reason.
I want to say Curl is at safety. I don't even think he's a corner.
No,
So
no, no, no. He's just in the secondary.
yeah, Witherspoon's solid. They got a couple of pieces there, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. I mean, and if those guys are hits, man, like that team could sniff top 5 with the defensive line that they have.
Dude, they're gonna. They don't have the depth as the top 5 teams. They don't have the depth on the line, but their star power up there, I think, is gonna go crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I,
they win like 2-3 games off defense alone. Like I think they can improve by like 2-3 wins from last year. Especially, we already know the offense acquisition they got in Devontae
oh yeah,
Adams,
yeah.
but
I think the Rams are no doubt going to be a great team.
yeah,
My number 10 defense. People might have problems with it. I got to be honest. You know, I'm not 100% sold that this is the number 10 defense. So if somebody said, no, the
fair.
Rams are better and wanted to swap them out, like, I'm probably not going to argue with you. This is me taking another shot the way I did with Seattle, kind of calling my shot. I got the New York Giants.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the New York
Damn.
Giants, it, the defensive line is disgusting. Okay, no denying the defensive line is disgusting. Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, like that is a filthy defensive line. I like Bobby Okereke at linebacker a ton, and in the secondary, they made some sneaky moves this offseason. You
Holla.
have another year of development of Deontay Banks and Tyler Nubin. You bring in Paulson Adebo from New Orleans, and you bring in JaVon Holland to play safety. Now, the fact that they paid JaVon Holland really makes me question why they didn't just pay Xavier McKinney. But, anyways, when we're looking at the picture as it is currently painted,
Yeah.
this is a team that I think will easily be top 10 in sacks. And if that defensive line generates a ton of pressure consistently, that secondary that I went out and listed is far serviceable enough to hold up for this team to, I think, be a top 10 defense in football.
Oh yeah. This could be like a Xavier McKinney type year for JaVon Holland. Who knows? And honestly, like I was teeter-tottering between the Giants and the Rams. The only reason I'm going with the Rams is because I can't. Like, how much better do you think Abdul Carter makes the defense as a whole? I know they added other pieces as well. I know they did, but I saw in the playoffs what the Rams did, and I'm just taking. That's just what I saw.
Here's what I'll say: we saw what Jared Verse did to the Rams defense. Could Abdul Carter not have a similar effect? This is a guy who was number 3 pick in the draft, and Verse was still a first round pick, but He wasn't number 3.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I mean, I'm just looking at the Giants. Like they did win what 3 games last year. They were
So
awful,
I'm
bro.
not saying this top 10 defense is going to translate to a ton of wins. Don't hear what I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
saying.
and
I
that's what
don't
I'm
know if
thinking.
Russell Wilson and listen, the final score to these games might be 13-10. The Giants lose, but that's still
Yeah.
a great performance from the defense overall. So to recap, you're gonna have to read your top 10. I definitely don't remember the order.
Okay.
My top 10: Broncos 1, Texans 2, Eagles 3, Ravens 4, Seahawks 5, Vikings 6, Steelers 7, Chargers 8, Packers 9, Giants 10.
Yeah, I kind of mixed some teams up. Okay, I had the Eagles at 1.
Yep.
I had the Ravens at 2.
Yep.
Texans at 3.
Yep.
I had the Broncos at 4. I had the Steelers at 5. At 6, I want to say I
You had the
had
Lions.
the Lions. Okay.
And then you had the Seahawks at 7. I do remember that.
Yes. 8, I
Chiefs,
had the Chiefs. 9, I had
the
the
Vikings.
the Vikings. I had them pretty high to begin, but as I kept talking, I just dropped them lower and
Yeah.
lower.
You had
And then,
Vikings at 9 and then 10, you just said.
yeah, the Rams. But I mean, looking at this list, man, you know what team isn't there that's kind of surprising? The 49ers. That's crazy. Like,
So here
that's
was my
insane.
thing with the 49ers, because I did look at them and I thought Robert Saleh coming in was a much needed change at the defensive coordinator position. But I also thought there was a lot of roster turnover as well. Two guys we talked about on that number 1 defense for me, the Broncos, Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw,
Yeah.
both now on that team. Javon Hargrave off of the 49ers onto the Minnesota Vikings. Charvarius Ward off of the 49ers onto the Colts. That's 4 high-level starters for this team. And you look at their defensive line, and I think that the defensive line has been put together pretty well. Obviously with Bosa, and they drafted Mykel Williams out of Georgia, and I think they're starting there. And you, of course, still have Fred Warner, and I like Mustafa in that secondary. But their best corner is Diamador Lenore, who's dealing with legal trouble now. So
I don't even know about that.
I just don't know how that secondary holds up. That's why for me, they weren't really in consideration to make it this far. Because when I look at them versus the Giants, who are my 10, the Giants have a better defensive line and a better secondary.
I mean,
at least one I believe in more.
Like they always had the star power, and they still got the man in the middle. They still got Fred Warner. They got Bosa. I mean,
and Fred cleans up a lot on that defense.
Yeah, Mustafa, I feel like could be an All-Pro this year. I don't know. I think he's underrated.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's definitely a monster. But I mean, you just gotta trust that this team can draft. They've drafted their entire defense, bro, for the most part. So I mean, you just gotta trust that this team knows what they're doing in the draft and that they can replace all these players they're letting go.
Yeah, for sure. So those are our top 10 defenses. Let us know your thoughts on the comment section down below. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I think this list is a lot more fluid when I did it myself.
Yeah.
You want to tell me that I'm crazy for having the Seahawks or Giants on my list? So be it. Is what it is. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you do love the NFL. Make sure you check out JaVon's socials in the description below, and we will catch you guys next week for another video.
Yes, sir.